music is too loud, and let me know if my volume is good. If you can hear me, I'm happy. But, okay, so how do you make sure you pass the PANCE on the first try? That depends. Ender, I have more questions. First off, how were you doing in school? Like, were you not having trouble passing your exams, or were you always borderline? How are you doing during clinical year, right? Your end of rotations, were you always on that borderline where you're like bottom 50th percentile, almost failing? Or were you doing okay? You know, were you always passing them with no problems? If you're someone who didn't really struggle in school and you're passing all your end of rotation exams with no problem, and then there's a couple other big exams during PA school, if you're usually, well above the 50th percentile on all those things, you're probably honestly okay. You should still, of course, study. Do the Rosh review PANCE prep, do the UWorld PANCE prep. There's a couple other question banks. I think there's literally one through PAEA. Do as many practice tests as you can. And then, if you're trending pretty solid on all of those, you're pretty good. If you're not, then certainly you know at least what sections to study up on some more, right? Cardiology is a big one. Make sure you focus on the murmurs, the locations of the murmurs, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you do want to pass the PANCE on the first try if possible, right? Not everyone does. It's okay if you don't. Some people take it 2, 3, 4 times, but you want to, right? Who wants to take that test again? It's like 5 hours and it's like $500. So yeah, try to pass it on the first time. Hopefully that was helpful. But yeah, anyway, Inder, that's his question. Hello, Silly McQuilly and somebody else. All right, here we go. User something. Just got accepted to PA school. Any advice? I'm freaking out. Okay, sweet. All right, first things first. Can we put congratulations in the comments? This person is like user 292 something, whatever. But anyway, congratulations to you. That's awesome. If you don't mind sharing what school or at least what are your stats, okay? Can you please share your stats? Everybody always wants to know, right? Tell us what you did for patient care, how long you've been applying, GPA, major, all that kind of stuff, if you don't mind. But just got accepted to PA school. Any advice? Yeah, first things first, don't study. Just chill. Just literally, please, just chill. Don't go study anatomy. Don't freak out. Don't get a bunch of books. Don't read a bunch of stuff. Literally, just chill. Enjoy your life the next however many months you have, and literally just enjoy it. Like, don't worry about pre-studying. Anything you study right now is totally useless. They will teach you everything you need to know, I promise. So just chill, enjoy your life, eat a good meal, work out, sleep as much as you can because you're not sleeping much in PA school. Go see the sun, go outside because you're not doing that much in PA school. See your friends, see your family, pet your dogs. Go chill. Please don't freak out. PA school will teach you everything you need to know, okay? I promise. Once you're in, you're in. There's no going back. There's no looking back. You're just kind of there, okay? So I promise, just chill, all right? And then do your best once you get there. That's the best advice I can give you. If you want to pre-study, okay, maybe read, what's the Orange EKG book? One sec, they made us read it. Orange EKG book. I think it's Dubin's. Is that what it is? Is it Dubin's? It's, one second. It's like this Orange EKG book. Dale Dubin. Here, let me flip my camera. So if you absolutely must pre-study something in PA school, I would study, this EKG book. Get it? It's like maybe $20. So get this. Maybe start studying up on some anatomy, but I really wish you wouldn't. I really wish you would just kind of chill. But anyway, yeah, this EKG book, if you can really master that before PA school starts, you'd certainly have a leg up because EKGs are going to be a big part of PA school. So, if you must, that's fine. Otherwise, honestly, just don't study. Just chill. All right, next. Whose question is next? You guys are so awesome. There's already like 20 questions in here. This is freaking amazing. Guys, while I'm looking at these questions, hit the like button a few times so we can get this live going because I'm back. My plans for the night are done. I, had a great time and now I'm here for like an hour. So we're going to get all your questions. Hit the like button. Let's get this live as big as possible. Here we go. All right. How much does a sports medicine PA make? That's very specific. So usually it's going to be orthopedics, right? If you're like in an orthopedics practice that has some sort of contract with a local college, local high school, pro team, whoever, maybe. But it's basically like an orthopedics PA more than likely, 120, 130, 140,000. If you're involved in a lot of surgeries, you pull some overtime, 160. something like that. If you're part of like an NFL team, I don't know, sky's the limit, but that's usually physicians, not PAs. But could be possible. Congrats to the comment. Yes, congratulations to whoever got into school. Still waiting on those stats. I want to see them. But what we got here? I was accepted to PA school last week. Your mock interview videos were so helpful. Sarah, congratulations. Yo, can we do a big round of applause? Big congratulations to Sarah. Sarah, congratulations. Sarah, what are your stats? GPA, PCE, what did you do? What was your major? How much shadowing? Just like literally tell me everything. Sarah, congratulations, and also help everybody out. Let us know. We have some, I think, Chinese characters possibly, I'm not sure, but thoughts on inaugural PA programs. Don't do it. Any PA program that's on probation or it's in their first year or, anything like that. If you have no choice, if it's the only one you got into, fine, maybe do it. But just realize it's going to be chaotic and I would not. So, I mean, somebody has to, right? Somebody has to be in the first class, but I don't know. I've heard enough horror stories to where if possible, I would avoid. Liv says, any advice on new grad PA starting in primary care in the next 2 weeks? Nice. Okay, so you just graduated. You passed your PANCE, Liv. So that's kind of what I did right after PA school. I passed my PANCE in October or September. I got certified in October, and then I started working in November. So let's see, first 2 weeks, or in your 2 weeks, you're gonna start primary care. Okay, first things first, go slow. Don't take on more than you can handle. I'm not sure how supportive your practice is, or your supervising physician, or your practice manager. Not sure how supportive they are and how sensitive they are to the fact that you're a new grad. A lot of, especially people who don't have a medical license, who were never a new grad, like office managers, medical assistants, that kind of thing, they don't understand. They don't understand the difference between someone like you, who is a new grad, who has all this theory but has never really worked, has never used the EMR, like someone like you, who technically has the same degree, qualifications, and everything as me. So someone like you, and then someone like me, who's worked in 10 different clinics plus, who's used 5 different EMRs, who's seen every common patient complaint known to man in primary care and in urgent care. And where I can just kind of give me a few hours to figure out the EMR and how to order things and the staff's names, and I'm good. You plug and play, I'm good. I can run a clinic that day. Somebody like you who's brand new, you don't have that, and they don't understand the difference, okay? So make sure that they are sensitive to the fact that you are brand new. Ask lots of questions, bring a notebook, write things down. Don't be afraid to ask, okay? Don't be afraid to ask questions more than once if you have to. Don't be afraid to ask your supervising physician if you don't know anything whatsoever. Slow down. Don't be afraid to see 3 patients in a whole day. That's okay. Don't be afraid to see 1 patient in a whole day. If you're figuring things out, give yourself that time, give yourself that grace, take things slow. I promise you will speed up. I promise you'll get more efficient. I promise you'll figure out this whole practicing medicine thing, because it's not just the brains and it's not just the care. There's so much to it. It's 50% brains, 50% what we learned, and 50% how to actually deal with people, the people you're working with and the patients, okay? So please, Liv, just give yourself some grace, give yourself time. It will come. But before I was comfortable, probably a good 2 to 3 years before I legitimately felt comfortable in the clinic by myself, okay? So just give yourself some time, but it will come. And one more thing, it will be so gratifying when you realize that all I need is myself, my sign in for my Google account for my Google Docs with all my templates, and my stethoscope, and I can literally run any urgent care or any primary care clinic in the country, safely for the time being. So literally, Liv, just give yourself a lot of grace, but you'll be great. It'll just take some time. Congratulations to Ender. Okay, cool. Share the live. Thank you. GPA to get in. I mean, can't really answer that. The higher, the better. Do classes taken? Oh, crap. I wish there was a better way to read these questions without them just resetting every time. But there's so many great questions. I want to get to all of them because I just started and we're going to be here for an hour. So we're going to do this. All right. Do classes taken during college start expiring right after you take them or after you graduate? So it's when you take them. Yanira, that's a great question. So classes that quote unquote expire. So let's say a PA program requires anatomy and physiology to be taken within 5 years of matriculation. That means that the day you finish that course, that's when it starts expiring. So let's say you took it in 2021 and you matriculate 2026, it technically, depending on the month, could be expired. You took it in 2020 and you're starting school in 2026, it's expired. If it's 5 years. Some schools 7 years, some schools 10 years, you just got to check. But yeah, it's when you took them, not when you graduate, that they start expiring. So people don't realize how fast classes expire, man. Like, let's say you took, I don't know, general chemistry, general biology in freshman year, and let's say you took a gap year, that's already 5 years ago. So the next year, that's going to expire. So that's how fast some classes expire. So you got to stay on that. All right, the longer I coach, the more I do this, the more I realize people aren't getting in, not just because they're not competitive necessarily, but because they're disqualified for something pedantic, like a class expiring, one single prerequisite having too low of a grade, like a C, where they needed a B minus. You know, you got to really stay on it, make a spreadsheet of every program you're applying to, and really stay on it, what prereqs they need, when they need to be taken, what letter grade they have, and comb through your transcripts. And if one is sticking out, you got to get it. Otherwise, you could be disqualified, and that's it. You know, it's not even about being competitive at that point. It's just you're straight up disqualified, okay? So yes, mind your prerequisites. Those are the biggest things that disqualify people. Is retaking classes bad for? No, not at all. Is it better to take a new class rather than retaking something? Yeah, but if you need the prerequisite, that's, you know, you still have to retake it. Sarah, any tips? I'm a sophomore in college and honestly didn't have the best freshman year. All right, so people are talking in the comments. Cool. If somebody can answer questions besides me, that would be awesome. And then Sarah said, message me. I'd be happy to offer some advice. Yeah, Sarah just got into PA school. Guys, first off, congratulations to Sarah. Second, message Sarah all your questions, please, by all means. Okay, advice for anyone who applied and still is waiting to hear anything back. It depends. It could take between 2 weeks and 2 months on average to hear back about an interview or even after an interview. So, you know, be patient. If it's been a long time, consider reaching out to them. But yeah, just be patient. What was your undergrad major? Biology. My first major was industrial and systems engineering, which I hated. So after like a semester or a quarter, I decided to get out of there, but I finished out the year. And then I went to, where the heck is it? Allegheny College for 3 more years to major in biology. And then I did a post-bac in pre-medical studies, or whatever they called it, health sciences or something. Yeah, health studies. With distinction, by the way. There it is. Anyway, not to brag about that. What was your undergraduate major? We talked about that. Someone said congratulations. How much does a starting PA make at the ER? Depends where. If they're really hard up for a PA, like it's a rural hospital or something, you could probably make 120, 130 starting out. You know, at least 90, probably at least like 100, 110, 115. Sometimes more. I've seen, you know, 120s, 130s for full-time at the ER for a new grad. You know, you could easily get close to 200 if you're pretty experienced. Could you talk? Here we go. Okay, Silly McWillie is saying, could you talk financial aid of PA school? And I'm applying for the 2026 cycle. So I can help you with pretty much any aspect of PA school except financial aid because I was on the GI Bill. So my school was paid for. You know, living expenses, everything was paid for. So I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure you fill out, what is it, FAFSA, right? By January 1st or something. You fill out FAFSA that year whenever you're going to start, and then, you know, your student loans should kick in. Grad Plus loans and all that kind of stuff. Okay, Sam. Would being a dental assistant ever be considered clinical experience? Yes, it would. So you're going to have a good story, like I wanted to be a dentist, and then, you know, after working as a dental assistant, I decided I didn't. You know, it was fine. So that's 1. 2, you could even say like, look, this is the only like medical job I could get. You know, I got it through a family connection and that's what I did. You know, I'm considering maybe getting a medical assistant job, but this is what I could do. So yeah, being a dental assistant is fine. You're working directly with patients. So yeah, you're hands-on. You could absolutely be a dental assistant. You kind of have to explain why dental and why not like medical or scribe or CNA, but that's fine. Samia got into the Rutgers PA program. Woo! That is a top 10 program, and it's probably my favorite program in the country. 1, because Dr. Palferman just ran an incredible program. She's out of there now. She retired from there this year, but she made a phenomenal program. Super hard, very, very rigorous, very hard program, but such a good program. And also Elijah and James, the 2 people in my company, as well as Jasenia and Juliana, but Elijah and James both went there. Elijah's still there at Rutgers, so you're actually going to be you're going to see Elijah there, who's part of Personal Statement Pros. Also, a couple other people I interviewed for the channel. Who was it? It was Miss Chanel, Brianna, a bunch of people that have been on this channel are all from Rutgers. So very, very good program. Very good program. If you need like tips, advice on like starting out at Rutgers, definitely message James or Elijah, because they're, you know, graduates of there and currently there. Thoughts on research, Julian? So research is not really ideal for PA school. I mean, you can certainly have it. It looks fine, but you know, it's not as good as like clinical hours. Is it okay to have some research? Cool. Is it even good? Yes, but it's not nearly as important as clinical, actual hands-on medical experience. Adelaide said, I used your videos to prep for my interviews this cycle and got several acceptances. Woo! That's awesome. Yo, first off, thank you for sharing. That's amazing. Second, share your stats. You got a bunch of acceptances, share those stats. Don't be stingy. I want to know your GPA, your patient care hours, what you did, your major, your volunteering. I want to know everything, okay? What are your stats? But as you guys see right here, Adelaide used my videos to prep for her interviews, and she got several acceptances. I'm going to screenshot that so I could put it on the story. Every time someone says, you know, used my videos to prep for her interviews, and she got several acceptances, I'm going to screenshot that so I could put it on the story. Every time someone says, you know, they did a coaching session or something, I always want to share that because I love success stories. Also, shameless plug, go get the interview guide, personalstatementpros.com, hit downloads, and you'll get all my best advice and step-by-step how to prepare for your interviews right in there. Way cheaper than doing a mock interview. All my best wisdom, interview guide, personalstatementpros.com, downloads to get the interview guide. Or just book a mock interview, but that's way cheaper. Okay. They are giving me 2 weeks of training, live. So this is the new grad PA who's going to be working in primary care. 2 weeks of training is good. 2 weeks of official training, I'm assuming when you're not seeing patients by yourself. You know, that's good, but it's going to take you a lot longer than that to feel comfortable, right? So after that training, just make sure they don't like fill up your schedule with 20 patients, right? That would be totally unfair. It was probably a good 2 to 3 months before I was comfortable seeing like even 10 in a day, 10 simple ones. Just because it takes a long time to figure out how everything works, how to order things, everything, right? So yeah, just make sure they're still like nice to you after those 2 weeks. But that's good that you have some training. 15 minutes per patient. Yep, it happens. What else we got here? Somebody followed me. Cool, thank you. All right, what is an average salary for a PA? I'm deciding between this and pharmacy. Okay, so one, to answer your question, the average salary for a PA, I believe based on last year's salary report was like 120-ish. 120 to 130. Now that, you know, varies quite a bit based on overtime, part-time, full-time, that kind of thing. But for full-time, I think it was right around 120, 125 or so, maybe with bonuses. So that's average for a PA. But if you're deciding between PA and pharmacy, you have not shadowed enough. And if you've shadowed enough, then you haven't done enough like soul searching and introspection, because they're totally different careers. Pharmacy, you're much more biochemistry heavy, and you're more about like medications, interactions, checking those things, and much less so face-to-face, hands-on working with patients. As a PA, you're very much face-to-face, hands-on working with patients. Totally different careers, okay? So but I have a feeling, Katron, you are one of those people that's choosing a career on paper. And you're not actually like going in there and experiencing it, because you don't know what it's like working with patients until you really see it. You don't know what it's like working in a pharmacy until you really see it, right? So I would shadow as much as possible if you're having trouble deciding, because there are such different careers. You really should not have trouble deciding if you've done enough shadowing. All right, Ashley Starkey says, new grad PA, how long would you say it takes to get comfortable in the first job? It depends what the first job is. You know, if you're in like specialty, and you're doing, you know, they're keeping you at kind of like a lower level, like let's say you work GI, you're doing a lot of colonoscopy screenings, you know, you might be managing some basic stuff, probably within a month or so, a couple months, you're probably pretty dang comfortable. Primary care, there's so much to it. You know, if you're dealing with any kind of remotely sick people, it'll probably take you a few months to a year. Something hard where a lot is on the line and it's very stressful, and there's a lot of like socio-cultural, not sociocultural, like social stressors, as well as the medicine, like urgent care, ER. It took me a good 2 years. It took me a good 2 years to really start feeling like I can make this my own and I can be comfortable in like a variety of circumstances, different patient presentations. Yeah, it takes a long time. The harder the job is and the more autonomy there is and the harder it is socially, right? So like a really well organized like hospital based practice where there's physicians, nurses, everybody you're working with is licensed, trained. There's a lot of support. There's a supervising physician right next to you, lots of experienced colleagues. You probably feel pretty comfortable much quicker, like let's say 6 months. You're never going to feel like you know as much as your colleagues, for a while, but it probably like a few months, you feel pretty comfortable. If you have a high degree of autonomy, like urgent care, and you're like the only one there, and there's no colleague necessarily next to you most of the time, and the patients are very difficult sometimes, and the staff can be difficult sometimes. It took me over 2 years in urgent care before I started really feeling comfortable in virtually any situation. I'm still fairly new, I guess. It's been going on 3 years. So yeah, it takes the longer, like the more complex your job, the longer it takes to feel comfortable. So I'd say between a couple months and about 2 years. What else? How much do I make? Not going to share that. I will tell you this. When I was working urgent care last year, when I was working full-time, like 40, 45, maybe 50 hours a week, I did some overtime. My company had a great bonus structure. I made about 190-ish W-2, like on my tax return. But that was with a decent amount of overtime, and we still had a bonus structure. Now that company went to total crap and took away the bonus structure, made it unachievable. Overtime wasn't compensated like it was before. So I would have made significantly less this year, so I quit and started doing my own thing instead. But last year I made about 190 in urgent care, working, 45-ish, 50-ish hours a week on average with some overtime. Is it worth it to apply this close or this late in the cycle? If you're applying to non-rolling schools that have not passed their deadlines yet, yes. If it's rolling schools, I would probably say there's not much of a chance. Okay, how should the life experiences essay differ from the personal statement? They are totally different prompts. Personal statement essentially boils down to why PA, right? What happened in your life to make you want to choose medicine, and specifically why PA, right? Life experiences is like, where have you struggled? And also if they still have that verbiage that's like to meet the composition of the population or something, it's basically a diversity statement. Like either where has diversity impacted your life, and or what experiences do you have working with people from different populations than your own, right? So they're totally different essays. So hopefully that helps. I have an MMI interview in 2 weeks. I watched your videos, but what do you recommend for MMI? Thinking out loud. Make sure that anything you have to say, you say. You don't wait for them to ask you more things, because you may not. Mind the time. So they might give you 1 minute to think. They might give you 2 minutes to think. You need to find that out immediately and start practicing. Because if you only have 1 minute to think and you're used to thinking for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, you're screwed. If you have 2 minutes to think, you better think of a really good answer for about a minute, minute and a half. If you're practicing saying 7-minute responses, but they give you 5, you're screwed, right? So make sure you know the timing. Make sure you say everything, think out loud, share your thought process. And also get my interview guide. Wait, okay, yeah, your MMI interview, Chase, is in 2 weeks. You have plenty of time to complete the whole interview guide. It takes like 5 days if you're using the whole thing. Personalstatementpros.com. Downloads, click downloads, download the interview guide. You really need that. Thank you so much for your advice. You're welcome, Liv. Good luck in your first job as a new grad PA. Woo! All right, cool. What else we got here? We have like 90 comments, y'all. You guys are amazing. This is even better than last night's live. Let me see. At this point, there's so many questions, I might just start picking them at random because there's so many. How do you feel about hybrid programs like Franklin Pierce University? I'm not familiar with Franklin Pierce specifically, but I don't like hybrid programs. I know it's like bad to say because Pittsburgh has one and I have a really close relationship with the Pittsburgh PA club, but I don't like hybrid programs. I don't like anything where you're at home. I like sitting. I hate sitting in the classroom, but I feel like I learn so much sitting in the classroom that I feel like it would be depriving yourself and your future patients if you're not sitting in the classroom. There's still things to this day, 4 years, going on 5 years into practice, where something comes in, like a patient comes in, and I see either a rash or I see a certain like constellation of symptoms, or I do a procedure or something, and I still think back to sitting in that seat in that lecture hall where Dr. J or Professor C or somebody would say something, and it still comes up from years and years later because I remember sitting in that auditorium. I don't think I would have learned as much sitting in front of a computer. So I don't like hybrid programs at all. Worried about lack of education for NPs? Yeah, me too, Daniel. Me too. There's some phenomenal nurse practitioners out there who did it the right way, like nursing for a couple years, bedside, ER, all this experience, and then they got their nurse practitioner. But nurse practitioners that like got out of a degree mill online after being a nurse for a year, scary, terrifying. Don't like it. How many gap years did I take? So I graduated college in 2011. Then I went into the military 2012 to 2017. Then I did post-bac 2017 to 2018. Then I worked as a scribe and a medical assistant 2018 to 2019. And then I finally started PA school 2019 to 2021. So I took 8 gap years, I guess. I mean, unintentional, 5 years of enlistment in there to pay for school. But anyway, what clinical experience did you have before applying? So first, home health aide with a CNA certification, then scribe, and then medical assistant. And then, that was it. Then I got in. Just push meds, promote big pharma. All right, Shannon. I might be with you on a lot of those things, but anyway. Okay, GI Bill. Yes, GI Bill 100%. Best thing ever. But there's ways around it. You don't have to have the GI Bill. You don't have to go military. You can do the NHSC scholarship and just give up 2 years of your life. Well, not even give up 2 years, honestly. Just work in a clinic that's like not ideal for you necessarily. That's 2 years. Instead of doing 5 years, enlisted like I did, getting yelled at and getting paid jack shit. But I mean, they let me live in Hawaii, so that was cool. But anyway, yeah, GI Bill's cool, but NHSC is certainly easier and less of a commitment to get your school completely paid for. Okay. And had to quit once I accumulated enough. Okay, I'm not sure what that was in reference to. Okay, Chadney applied to 10 programs, only heard back from 4. Should I expect to hear from more next month? Like I said, guys, between 2 weeks and 2 months to hear back about an interview or even after your interview. So be patient. What was your post-bac certificate program? Like a post-bac? Yes. It was 18 to 30 credits. It was 2 semesters. I'll show it to you right now. If I can flip my camera. Boom. There it is. So that is the post-bac. It doesn't exist anymore, but post-baccalaureate certificate program in health studies. Distinction just means my GPA was I don't remember, high. But anyway, so that was like an actual certificate one. Do you have to do that necessarily? No, you don't. You could do do it yourself post-bac, as in just take a bunch of classes at your local state college, which will be way cheaper. But that's what I did for post-bac RIA. YPA instead of MD. Okay, do you guys want to get into that for a little bit? PA versus MD. So this is a really important topic. I'm assuming most people here are probably pre-PA and they're set on that track. But PA versus MD. The biggest thing I would say is age, how old you are. Because even with my attitude towards why, I chose to be a PA, if I was, 5 years younger when I started the whole journey, I probably would have still tried to do med school. My main things that I like about being a PA. You're more of an employee than a boss, as in you're kind of plug and play. You can, work in a bunch of places. You can work a lot. You can work a little, work in multiple specialties at the same time, with your experiences. There's just a lot more kind of freedom. But at the same time, if you set it up properly as an MD, let's say in emergency medicine, dermatology, where you can have your own practice, that kind of thing, psychiatry, you can kind of set it up that way too. It's just that you're still more responsible. But still, if I was younger, I probably would have gotten I would have probably tried to go to med school and probably gotten maybe emergency medicine or something, short residency, and then worked 2 days a month and made enough money to just live wherever I want in the world, right? That's what I would have probably done if I did MD. As a PA, I'm kind of doing that anyway, but obviously making way less money. So anyway, but YPA instead of MD, the freedom. I like that it's a career, it's a job, but it's not my whole life. I can do so much more, and I can apply my, I can apply more of myself as a person to more things in life than just medicine. So I like the PA aspect of that, where it's a job. I still get to geek out on medicine. I still get to treat patients and help patients and do cool little procedures and, do all of that, run the clinic. I'm still the boss when I'm at the clinic. It's still cool, but it's never going to be as intense as MD. But it scratches that itch of practicing medicine, and it's still good. but without committing that much time and that much effort to it. So that's why PA, at least for me, in a nutshell. What are your thoughts on BS PA accelerated programs? The best. Aya's asking about 3+2 programs, accelerated programs, the best. If you're sure you want to be a PA right out of high school, go do an accelerated program, hands down, by far. Because one, you get to be done quicker. Like it's 3 years of bachelor's and 2 years of PA school. So you enter at 17, 18, you're literally a certified physician assistant by 22, 23, which is insane. It's so cool. And then also, you don't have to apply to PA school. You apply to this program, but you don't have to apply to PA school, which is so competitive. So yeah, these accelerated programs are by far the best way to go. Yanira says, what would you say is the minimum amount of shadowing hours we should apply with? Every school is different. Some legitimately want a minimum amount, some don't. I would say at least a good probably like 20 to 30 of a couple of different providers, just so you can really like show some understanding of the medical professions. So like 20 to 30 preferably, but that's like bare bones minimum. I've heard of people with like 600, but that's kind of a lot. What are your thoughts on, okay, we talked about this, good. So not having any research hours shouldn't affect me. I'm applying next cycle, but stressing about it. Alicia, no, research really does not matter all that much. It's much more important for med school. For PA school, it's fine to have, but it's not that important. How much does work experience truly play into your consideration? Work experience as in like patient care experience? A lot. It's the second most important thing after grades. You know, you have to have high quality patient care experience, 100%. Jasmine, I work at a pediatric medical daycare as a certified medical assistant. Does that count for patient care hours? Yeah, absolutely. It depends what you're doing. If you're like clerical, if you're front desk, if you're doing insurance and checking people in, then no, probably not. But if you're doing vitals, injections, procedures, helping with, taking histories, that kind of thing, working one-on-one with patients, hands-on, yeah, 100% that counts. Okay, Lydia is torn. I'm torn between PA and med school. So what makes PA more desirable in the field? It depends. Okay, so Lydia, first things first, like how old are you, right? If you're in your early 20s, med school might be fine because then you get to like have a real job and be a real human being in your early 30s. If, having a family, especially having a family early is super important to you, PA might be more conducive. Do people have families in med school all the time? Yeah. Is it super hard? Probably, yeah. So depends how early you want to start your life. Like if you're 20s, right? If you're in your 20s and like having some of your 20s and early 30s to like enjoy life is important to you, PA has to be the obvious choice because med school you just straight up won't. You can't. You don't have that much time. If like practicing medicine at a super high level and being the boss and like being able to have a really like intense career, being like on the boards of things, being in leadership positions all the time is important to you, then you got to be a physician. PAs just have a glass ceiling and we always will. And that just is what it is. So it depends how important that is to you. Do you want to make your life more about medicine, or do you want medicine to be a good career that you love but is supporting your life? That's the big difference. How much of your life do you want to be in medicine? Me, I wanted my life to be my life and for medicine to be just kind of how I make money and because I thought it was a cool career and because I'm interested in it, but I didn't want it to be my whole life. That's why PA. If you are that interested in it, you do want to be a physician, you want to be called doctor, you absolutely have to, be the top dog, then you're not going to be satisfied with PA. You're going to want to be an MD. Okay? So yeah, that's the big choice. I haven't heard from any school. Should I call them? I feel like I've gone over that a few times. And was going to pop by. Okay. Let's see. CMA or CCMA. I'm not sure what the difference is, but they're both probably fine. CMA certainly is fine. Medical assistant. Any advice you can give for group interviews? Yes. For group interviews, first things first, get the interview guide, personalstatementpros.com. Click downloads, download the interview guide. Okay. I'm going to say that a bunch of times because I really want to push it now because it's a lot cheaper than getting a mock interview and it has literally everything you need in pretty short order. But advice for group interviews, try to organize the group because the group likes to go off the rails and not really understand the prompt. Try to organize the group, be very courteous, try to speak first if possible, but don't be domineering. Try to summarize whenever you speak after someone, summarize a little bit of what they said, and then base your answer, whatever contribution you have based on what they said and what was previously said. Don't just like talk by yourself. Try to include the quiet people. Try to, make it a team activity. Try to include everybody and stay on task. Try to organize the group and keep it on task. Okay. So I think I answered the accelerated thing quite a few times. So that's good. How much does work experience? Wait, hold on a second. There we go. I think I need to go down a little bit because I think there's some questions that I already answered. Okay, here we go. Wait, no, that was more about NPs. Decided to go. Okay, here we go. The user, something said, decided on pre-health late, gonna have to take an extra year of undergrad and feeling discouraged. I'm 21. Buddy, you're 21, okay? You're not behind in any way, shape, or form, okay? I promise. I was 29 when I started PA school, and you're literally 21. Like, you could finish med school and residency before you're the age that I was before I started PA school. So you're not behind. Trust me. A lot of people have to go way, way further than you think. Penny Poppy says, PA at 35. What do you think? Yeah, 35 is young, man. I'm 36. Like, you can start a whole new career at 35. If you have to do more prereqs, you have to do some shadowing, you have to do whatever you need to get competitive. Let's say it takes you 2 years and then you get into PA school. Okay, 39, 40, you got your dream career for 20, 30 years. What's the problem with that? Right? And being an older PA student is kind of annoying because all your classmates are young, but being an older rotation student and being an older new grad is kind of good because your patients relate to you much more. Plus, you've had personal experience with a lot of the things that you're treating. So yeah, being an older applicant and being an older new grad PA is great. Let's see what else we got here. Do you think the market is going to be oversaturated in 5 years? No, not even close. Look how many unhealthy, sick people there are, and look how few primary care providers there are. No, it's going to be oversaturated in some cities that everyone wants to live in. But as far as the rest of the country, no, not even close. You'll be fine. Not even close to oversaturated. PA is so competitive. I know someone that tried 4 times before being accepted. Yeah, that's pretty normal. Now, it shouldn't be normal because if you have the right strategies, you talk to someone like me that can help you out, plan things, make things efficient, apply to the right schools. It shouldn't take you 4 cycles. That's crazy. It should take you 2 max because it might just take you 2 years to really get everything down. But 4 cycles is a lot if you have good planning. If you want to be an MD now, would you just do 2 years? Or the full 4 years? No, there's no bridge programs between PA and MD. There's one at LECOM that cuts off 1 year of med school, but there's no bridge programs. Can you talk about supplemental applications? What about them, Bella? Let's see here. What if I'm between PA school and law school? Kendall, come on. Those are completely different careers. That's like saying I'm torn between McDonald's and Six Flags, right? I either want to eat or I want to go to a theme park. 2 completely different things, not even close. Practicing medicine or practicing law. Totally different. That being said, I know people that were on the pre-med track and then went to law school, or they were PAs and then they went to law school. I actually even considered it because I feel like I'm better at arguing than I am at being empathetic. But I've gotten better at being empathetic and I'm trying to argue less, but still I feel like I'd be a good lawyer. It's just, who the heck wants to go to law school now? You know what I mean? But yeah, the biggest thing you can do, again, if you're torn between 2 careers or 2 fields within one career, is shadow. Really see where you embody yourself in the long term, what you actually see yourself doing, right? Okay, here we go. Marissa says 2.9 GPA, but 3.4 masters in biomed. Is it enough to help me with my applications? Yeah, it is. Make sure your prerequisites, which are all going to be undergraduate, make sure your prerequisites are good. That's the first thing. The second thing is 3.4 in your master's when your undergrad wasn't all that good is not super impressive. It's better. It's certainly better. It's not super impressive. So I would be a little concerned about your, study skills, about your academic skills. You can certainly apply, but if you're not getting in and everything else is perfectly good, you might want to still do a post-bac or some way to prove yourself academically because 3.4 is just not great when you've already messed up your undergrad, Sorry to break it to you, but that's not super impressive at this point. Let's see. All right, let's fast forward down to the bottom here so I can get some questions. All right, Angela, I'm a junior nursing student thinking about PA school. What do you think? Any tips? Yeah, I mean, obviously once you graduate as a RN, I'm assuming you're going to get a BSN. NP would be a much more natural, easier progression than PA school. But if you want to do PA, work as a nurse for a year or so, make sure your prerequisites are solid, start taking them if you need any. And then, yeah, apply to PA school. Nursing is it's a great patient care experience for sure. Alejandro says, I'm Peruvian doctor with 2 years of clinical surgical experience. Is this PA application eligible? No, it's not. Well, I mean, just on itself, it's not, because you still have to take your prerequisites, usually in the United States. So can you be an international applicant, take the TOEFL, all that kind of stuff? Yes. But you still are going to need to get all your prerequisites, usually in America. But if you're an international applicant, go on personalstatementpros.com, go on the pre-PA services, and scroll to the bottom where it says international, and talk to Mariam. She's an Indian physician, and she got into PA school in America, and she really, really dug deep into how to do that. All the research, all the schools that accept you, that kind of thing. So Alejandro, go book a session with Mariam. She'll get you right, because it took her 3 or 4 years to figure all this stuff out. So yeah, definitely go talk to Mariam. Does it count as patient care experience if I'm an uncertified lead MA who doesn't do vitals, injections, but does intakes? That's borderline. So you're not really doing anything hands-on, but you're kind of talking to patients. It's kind of borderline. I'd really rather you get certified and start doing stuff hands-on if that's what it takes. Should I list the PCE hours I currently have, or how much will I have? No. You currently have. Definitely. So yeah, don't do anything in the future. You know what I mean? Don't put down how many you'll have in the future. Put down how many hours you have now at time of application. All right, what else you got here? Clinical experience. How do you feel going into clinical year? Any advice? Yeah, SJ or SI. Yeah, clinical year is totally different than didactic year. There's still way more didactic stuff than you would expect. There's the end of rotation exams, there's still lectures, there's still quizzes, which is super annoying, on top of all your clinical stuff, but it's mostly clinical work. My main advice for clinical year is understand that your preceptor is like freaking God. Their opinion is everything. So if they think that you're not ready, they'll give you a bad review, you're screwed. You can only get 1 or 2 of those before you're literally out of the program or remediating or something. So definitely suck up to your preceptors, be on time, be early, stay late, treat everything they say as if it's super important, even if they're not really respectable. Literally treat them like they're God, because their opinion is everything right now. They have so much power over you. It's awful, honestly. It should not be that way, because some preceptors are extremely unethical. But yeah, that being said, if anything smells fishy and anything is making you uncomfortable, talk to your clinical coordinator, your program director ASAP, and let them know what's going on. It's better to nip these things in the bud, maybe get you on a different rotation, or at least get them on board to knowing what's going on well before anything bad happens, okay? So definitely be very careful with your preceptors. Is PA school competitive? Yeah. I'm an RN. How do I become a PA? You make sure you get your prerequisites and you apply to PA school. I'm in high school. Are accelerated programs and the price worth not having? Yes, dear God, yes. Delaney is in high school and she says, are accelerated programs worth the price? Dear God, yes. So first things first, you get to finish sooner. That's a whole year of college or a whole year of grad school that you don't have to do. 2, you don't have to apply to PA school. Once you're into this accelerated program, you keep the right GPA and you get whatever hours, whatever stipulations they have. You don't have to apply. I don't think you guys understand how big of a deal that is. PA school admission is between 2 and 5%. That's worse than Harvard. So PA school admission is insanely hard. So if you can bypass all of that with these accelerated programs, for goodness sake, please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. Please do. What else we got here? Is EMT experience valid? Very much so, yes. Let's see. I'm an aspiring X-ray student at a community college, interested in becoming a PA. Any advice or tips? You got to be a little more specific, but yeah, that's a good experience. What else we got here? I'm a foreign psychologist student, but I'm a resident. I have to be the prerequisites too. Yes. There's no getting away from the prerequisites, whether you're international or not. How do I begin to get clinical experience if I don't have any experience? I'm a senior in high school. Yeah. So you can work, right? I worked when I was a senior in high school. I worked at a coffee shop and I was a lifeguard. So you can totally work as a medical assistant, as a scribe, as a home health aide, as a CNA. You can start doing all that kind of stuff. So I would start working at those kinds of facilities. Go to your nearest nursing home and start working as a CNA or just a health aide. Go to your local urgent care, scribe, medical assistant. Just find yourself a job. My GPA was 3.2. I volunteered 300 hours. Current medical examiner. Should I do something else for PA? Yeah, you need way more hours. You need a solid amount of patient care hours, like at least 500 to 1,000 is bare minimum. Penny says, you are amazing. Thanks for your advice. Good luck, everyone. Hey, thank you, Penny. What were your PCE hours? My patient care hours were first home health aide / CNA, then scribe for about 6 months, and then medical assistant for another 8 months. What else? Thank you for all the answers. You're welcome, Marissa. Okay, this person says, 3,000 PCE in a specialty. Wow, that's a good amount of PCE. 3.2 GPA, that's on the lower side, one bad semester. May grad, any advice? Summer post-bac, apply this cycle. You can certainly apply this cycle. Like a 3.2 GPA is not a death sentence, but it really does depend. Like if your last 30 credits, your last 60 credits were stellar and you just messed up your freshman, sophomore year, that's fine. I've seen people get in with that, no problem. But whoever this person is wants me to co-host. No, sorry, I'm not doing any co-hosts. Last time we did a co-host, it was some random guy in Pakistan with his shirt off. I was like, what the heck is this? This is creepy. I had to literally restart the whole live. So yeah, no, sorry, no co-hosts. Okay, but yeah, so that's what you would have to do. What else we got here? Penny, okay. Who can I contact? You said a name before with the guy of the Peruvian doctor. Oh yeah, Olenka Soto. So could you repeat it? Yes. So Mariam works for my company. She's a contractor. She's starting PA school. Actually, I think she's already in PA school, but she's an Indian physician and she did a ton of research on how to become a PA student, a physician assistant student, as an international applicant. So go on my website, personalstatementpros.com, link in the bio, go to pre-PA services, scroll all the way down to where it says international, and either book an email or book a Zoom call with Mariam, and she will go over how to apply to PA school as an international grad. Okay. Post-bac versus master's, what's the difference? Did master's because I thought it would appear better? No. So post-bac versus master's, as far as getting yourself more competitive, honestly doesn't matter. I've seen both. The thing that you're trying to prove is that you're very good academically, right? So if you do a post-bac, which means just after you graduated undergrad, you do a bunch of undergrad classes. In science, like hard sciences, 16 credits to 20 credits, full load. If you do well there, cool. If you do a 1-year master's in physiology of some sort, or one of those pre-medical masters, does the same thing. The only good thing a post-bac does is it does actually raise your undergraduate GPA, whereas the master's doesn't. And the post-bac can incorporate some prerequisites, whereas the master's, again, doesn't. Because the prerequisites are always undergrad. So I would honestly, personally prefer post-bac, but I've seen people do masters and post-bac and do very well. So, yeah. Okay. Jemiah says, I have 2 W's on my transcript. Not a big deal. But I have a 3.7 GPA. Excellent. Would I still be a good applicant? Yeah, 100%. As long as it's not a pattern of W's, lots of them, it's not a big deal. It happens, as long as you can explain why they happened. Does having an easier major like public health make me look worse? No, not at all. I have a 4.0, so that's good. Okay, so this is something that I actually have not really recommended to people, but it's kind of a cheat code, honestly. So most of your PA school, medical school applicants, they have, a bio major, biochem, chem, what else? Exercise science, those kinds of majors. And those are really hard majors. Whereas if you do something like public health, English, history, I don't know, an easier major, humanities major, and you happen to just get all your prerequisites in there somehow too, you're going to have a higher GPA. Humanities have higher GPAs than science. It just always is. So you're going to have a higher GPA. You're going to be more competitive. So that's kind of a cheat code. Now, the other thing is, have you really been tested with a full load science curriculum? If you haven't, that might be concerning, and also good luck handling PA school and medical school. But as far as straight up just GPA and competitiveness goes, kind of a cheat code a little bit, How do I study for EORs, Jess says? Yeah. So end of rotation exams. So when you're in your second year of PA school and you're doing your clinical year, your rotations, every rotation, at least every core rotation, is going to have an end of rotation exam. So how you study for those, me personally, I did the Roche Review supplemental question banks. So there's a Roche Review supplemental question bank for every single core rotation. I would get those. I know they're like $100, maybe $150. I would get them and use them because those made the biggest difference for me. So first, just take the test, see if there's anything you know, and then start really looking at the topics list, and anything you don't know, start studying that really hardcore, and then take the test again. And just keep doing that until you've got all the topics memorized, and then you can start doing like PANCE prep pearls, you can start doing program materials from your college, from your class, whatever. But I would start with the Roche Review, okay? That's what made the biggest difference for me. I never had issues with EORs at all once I started doing that. Okay, we have more stats. Let's go. I love these stats ones. I feel like they help people out because they kind of give you an idea. Okay, so 3,000 patient care experience, good. 3.2 undergrad, not great. 3.78 post-bac, much better. Applied 2 times and no interview offers. Okay, there might be something else wrong with your application, or you might be getting disqualified. It's not about the stats completely, guys. Like, stats are important, but if you happen to have like one prerequisite that's too low of a grade or too old, I don't care if you have a 4.0 and 9,000 hours, you're not getting in, right? So you need to make sure that you're not getting disqualified. And if you're not, then you need to make sure that your application is submitted well, you're going to the right programs, you're submitting early enough if they're rolling, you're that kind of thing. There's so many other things that go into it, but make sure you're not getting disqualified first. Is it worth it to retake statistics if I initially got a B-? Only if you need it as a prerequisite. Now, stats is a prerequisite for most programs. So if your programs require better than a B-, like let's say a B for the prerequisites, then yes, you have to retake it. If they don't, then no, you don't have to retake it. Vincent, I have a 3.8 GPA and 2,000 hours as a patient aide. Is this competitive? Yes. 3.8 GPA is definitely competitive because it's higher than average. 2,000 hours is, it's decent. It's not super high, but it's enough for most programs. So as long as everything else in your application is good and your strategy is right. Oh, and by the way, also download the strategy guide. All right. Not only is there an interview guide on my website, but there's an application strategy guide. So if you're not in your interviews right now and you need to figure out which programs to apply to, when to apply, what to focus on, go to personalstatementpros.com, click downloads, and download the strategy guide. It's literally all this stuff I'm talking about, but in much more detail. So that'll help you kind of plan the strategy. And then if you still need help, book a session with me or one of the coaches, but that should really get you started to where you probably won't really have any questions. Okay. Have you tried UWorld? We did a little bit of UWorld. One of my classmates in PA school, Edgar, I think, had a subscription. So we would always do like some Roche Review. We'd do some UWorld. UWorld, I feel like, is harder. It's more for med school. UWorld, I feel like, is a little harder and goes into the concepts more than you really need for PA school, but it is good. Jemiah says, if I were to get most of my PCE after undergrad, would it make me look worse? No, not at all. It doesn't matter when you get the stuff. It literally doesn't matter when you get your PCE, whether it's during undergrad, after undergrad, doesn't matter. Now, what would be concerning is if you got all of it like 6 years ago and then you haven't worked a single medical job since, they might be like, what the heck? It's totally explainable if you have like life circumstances where you have to, but that would be a little concerning. But it doesn't matter if you get, PCE in undergrad, after undergrad, literally doesn't matter. Public health requires bio, orgo, gen chem, A&P, genetics, but major specific classes, not really. Cool. So you'll get all your prerequisites built into your major, or at least most of them, and you'll have a higher GPA. Yeah, public health would be a great major then. Not a problem. What do you think about the dermatology PA route, and do you have any tips? Yeah, this came up on the live yesterday. This is actually a really, really common question. I forgot I put lemon in this water. You ever you expect to drink something and then you end up drinking something else and you're like, what the? Kind of surprises you for a second. All right, anyway, sorry, I've been talking for 40 minutes straight, so I had to take a sip of water. But anyway, okay. So dermatology PA, obviously the most desirable, the most competitive specialty as a PA because you make crazy money working not crazy hours. You're very busy, but you make crazy money. How do you get into that specialty? One, consider living in a less desirable city. If you're in like a high saturated city with a lot of PAs, like Fort Lauderdale, Raleigh, New York City, not as much because there's just so many opportunities, but New York City, Austin, like any desirable city, you're going to have a harder time. If you move to like a smaller city, Syracuse, I would say Pittsburgh, but definitely not Pittsburgh. Syracuse, Cleveland, Detroit, like less desirable cities where fewer people are like itching to move there, it might be easier to get into a competitive specialty like dermatology. So that's one. Two, having dermatology experience either during clinical year, like a rotation, or being a medical assistant in a dermatology practice beforehand will give you, one, the skills, and two, maybe even some connections. So that's kind of the best ways to get into dermatology. Or just be on the lookout and apply to every single dermatology clinic, in your area, and then eventually you might be able to get something. Let's see. Multiple C's on my transcript or of prereqs. Okay. Let's see. What is your advice on high schoolers who want to be PAs? All the way for high schoolers who want to be PAs, I would say accelerated programs. Please try to get into one of those accelerated programs. Your life will be so much easier. Less time, less money, less muss and fuss about trying to get in. Definitely try to do the accelerated programs. There's a lot of them. Would it look weird if I have 4 total transcripts in total since I took post-bac classes? No, not weird at all. I think I had more than 4, definitely way more than 4, because I took classes like in random places and random schools throughout my military career, so I probably had like 6 or 7 transcripts. Not a big deal. Biostats instead of statistics, that should be okay. That should be fine. If you're super concerned, obviously you can ask your, you can ask the program if biostats would count, but usually it would. It should not be an issue. Just make sure they know about it. There we go. I just graduated and started patient care experience. I'll probably only have 1,200 hours. Should I wait and apply later? No, apply now. 1,200 hours is plenty. Plenty, plenty, plenty. I promise it's enough. Some schools, yeah, maybe they'll want more, but very few. Almost every school, 1,200 is enough. Allie says, how would you recommend combating imposter syndrome and fear of failure throughout classes and didactic? Imposter syndrome should not really hit you all that hard in didactic because, you're not really doing anything. You're not taking care of people. No one's lives are in your hands. Nobody's at risk. But you mean imposter syndrome as in, can I really handle a program this hard? Am I smart enough? You handle it by taking it one day at a time, one exam at a time. And once you're done, it's next exam, next exam, next exam, next exam, next exam. And before you know it, you graduated. It's, what's that saying? It's like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? So it's the same thing. Anytime you're very stressed, anytime you're going through something very difficult, anytime you're in a very tough program, anytime you're extremely depressed or extremely in pain or extremely sad or worried, you literally just take one small step at a time. You shorten your length of time that you worry about. You don't worry about next year. You don't worry about next month. You don't worry about next week. You worry about today. Or if today's too much, you worry about the next 30 minutes. Okay? You have 9 tests coming up. Okay? 9 exams, which is possible in PA school. That happens. You have 9 exams coming up this week. Okay? You have a lab exam. You have a bio or a A&P exam. You have a clinical medicine exam. You have a paper due for humanities. You have a pharmacology exam. Okay, maybe not 9. You have 6, whatever. You have 6 exams this week. And you're like, how? Literally how? Literally how am I supposed to get through this? And what you do is you focus on the next 30 minutes. Okay, what is the soonest exam that I have to study for the most? Okay, A&P, cool. Bet, let's go. 30 minutes. The next 30 minutes, I'm studying A&P. I'm setting my timer. I'm turning off my phone. I am deleting TikTok. Don't delete TikTok. You follow us. But I'm not doing anything but studying the next 30 minutes. That 30 minutes passes. Suddenly, okay, I feel a little bit better. I got some momentum going. But then you're still freaking out because you're like, I still have 6 exams and I only studied for half an hour. Okay, cool. Get a coffee, chill out, walk around the block. Another 30 minutes. Cool. Now I've been studying A&P for an hour. Now I feel pretty good. Maybe now I switch to pharmacology for a minute because that's also on the same day. Cool. Let's do pharmacology for 30 minutes. Okay, another walk. Cool. Maybe in the next 2 hours, now I'm less concerned. Now the next 2 hours I'll be studying. Here's my plan for the next 2 hours. I want to study pharm and I want to study A and P, half an hour, switch back and forth, or an hour each, cool. And that's how you do it, okay? If you have imposter syndrome, if you don't feel like you're smart enough, you're freaking out, you're nervous, you're exhausted, whatever, just the next half hour. That's what you got to worry about. And you just keep going. And before you know it, eventually you divide the next 2 years by 30 minutes, however many reps that is. Eventually you're done. And then eventually your degree's on the wall and you have the NCCPA certificate and you have the white coat and people are calling you, PA, whatever your name is. And that's it. It's done. And then you have a whole different kind of imposter syndrome. But that's how you deal with that. Okay. Mish, cool name, says, what advice do you have for people? My God, these questions are coming in too fast. What advice do you have for people who have a really good application and still do not hear back from schools? Be patient. Okay, in biochem, I got a F. I retook it for a D+. Oh, damn. And retook it again for an A. Okay, good. How does this look? It looks like you took the same class 3 times. I'd certainly be ready to explain it if you get an interview. But, I mean, there's no choice at this point. It's an undergrad class. It's on your transcript. You got to own it. You just got to own it and do better. And that's it. Isabel, Allie, were you the imposter syndrome one? I really hope. I went on kind of a tangent, but I hope that helps. Isabel, 3,000 PCE hours, but didn't work with a PA and no shadowing. Okay. Have interviews soon. How much will that affect me? So you have 0 shadowing and you got an interview. How the heck did you pull that off? I literally don't understand how people don't have any shadowing. You have to shadow. But I don't know. I guess she didn't, so that's fine. So you have 3,000 PCE working with maybe physicians, nurse practitioners, dentists. I guess it's possible. Have an interview coming up soon. How will that affect me? I would just make it very clear why PA. I would really make a very clear answer for why you want to be a PA, even if you've never shadowed one and you haven't really worked with them. So why PA? You must have a good reason. And if you do, okay, own it and you'll be okay. Maesa, I think, says, any advice on personal statements? Is the goal to be unique and attention grabbing or simple? Both. So where the heck is it? I got a book for you. 1 second. 1 second, Maesa. Okay. If you are having trouble writing your personal statement, I literally wrote the book on writing your personal statement. Step-by-step, physician assistant school, personal statement writing, and other application secrets. Go on Amazon, type in my name, first and last name, or just this book, and it'll come up. This is literally how you write a personal statement, step-by-step from the ground up. If you DM me, I'm happy to send you one of these for free. I've got stacks of them. And I'm working on the next version anyway. But anyway, yeah, get this book. That's how you write a personal statement. Let's see. What things disqualify applicants? Okay. What things disqualify applicants? Usually prerequisites, too low of grades. Someone says, so glad I'm past this. Yeah, I don't blame you. Me too, honestly. But that's why it feels so good to give back and help the next generation who are overwhelmed and confused, right? So what things disqualify applicants? Usually it's some requirement not being met, like a prerequisite, too low of GPA, that kind of thing. What advice for interviews? Let's see. Way to get clinical hours fast. I mean, I don't know about fast, but you're going to have to get a job, right? So go to a nursing home, go to an urgent care. You can definitely get them. But yeah, Maisa DMing now. It's Maisa, sorry. Also, thank you so much. You're amazing. Hey, you're amazing too. Yeah, I'm happy to send you one of these books for free. If you want to support me, obviously buy it on Amazon. I'd appreciate that. But anyway, what are some of the roles as a PA? I'm looking into doing this as a future career. I mean, literally anything that a doctor can do on the outpatient side, a PA can do, just with some more oversight and less money. But in the OR is the only place where it's a real big difference. You're not a surgeon as a PA. You never will be. So you're not doing surgery, but almost anything else you can manage as a PA. Okay. So let's do a couple more questions. I haven't worked since COVID in PT. How recent do you have to have hours? COVID was going on 5 years ago now. Yeah. I'd probably start working in a medical job, more recently than that, unless you have a really, really, really good reason. Are there not surgical PAs? Alicia says. No, there are. There absolutely are. But if you've ever like shadowed or worked in a hospital closely with PAs on surgical teams, they first assist. So they'll close, they will hand tools, they will do some. They might manage the robot, like the Da Vinci robot. They'll do some things in the OR, but they're not the actual surgeon. They're not doing the laparoscopic. They're not doing the robotic. They're not doing like the actual surgery. They're helping with the surgery. So that's the biggest thing. They'll manage the patients, before and after surgery. They'll round on them. They'll do all that stuff. They'll manage them in the clinic outpatient, but they're not doing the actual surgery. For that, you have to be a physician to actually be a surgeon. But yeah, absolutely. There's PAs on surgical teams. They run the surgical teams. Like usually it's PAs running the surgical services, but the surgeon comes in and does the surgery. Let's see. How many hours do you recommend to have minimum? Depends on the program. I mean, I had like 800, but by the time I got to the program, it was like 1,500 or 1,300. All right, I'm trying to find a good question kind of at random here. I'm just scrolling. Let's see what we got. Haha, that made me laugh. I'm not really sure what I said to make you laugh, but I'm glad I did. I'm a very new EMT and have already been yelled at a lot. I'm sorry. How to be less sensitive with patients? Oh, you've been yelled at by patients? Oh yeah, especially as an EMT. I mean, you're in the thick of it. You're going to people's houses. You're going to nursing homes when they don't want to go. You're going to urgent cares when they don't want to be transferred. You're going to one hospital to transfer to the other hospital. You're going to people who are drunk, on drugs, injured. You're in the thick of it, man. You're an EMT. You're going to develop a thick skin fast because you are dealing with everything and everyone. So yeah, as an EMT, much respect, like seriously. All right, let's scroll down to the bottom. Let's see what kind of questions we got here. Does it look bad? Oh shoot. How does having a failing grade on science class that's not a prerequisite look? I mean, failing grades always look bad. However, if it's early in your career, or you had like a few semesters after that were really good, not a big deal. Just have a way to explain it. Like, why'd you get the failing grade? What did you do afterwards? How did you become a better student? What will you do in PA school if you struggle? It's nothing as a death sentence. I was reviewing an application. I think this person was a mock interview person. He or she had like a full semester full of Fs, and then another semester with like a D, a W, another F, and like a C, like total train wreck. And then the last few semesters were excellent and they got an interview. They pulled it together. That happens all the time. An F is not a death sentence. Breathe. It'll be okay. But get your butt in gear and start learning how to study now. E says, I'm struggling finding jobs for patient care because it seems like no one is hiring. Somebody's hiring. If you look at every single city, the biggest skyscraper is healthcare. Healthcare or health insurance. Healthcare is the biggest industry hiring everybody right now because the government's just pumping so much money into it. So yeah, there are so many healthcare jobs. Like I said, nursing home. Go somewhere where nobody wants to go. Nursing home. First things first. Every nursing home. Assisted living facilities. Urgent cares. Primary care clinics. Hospitals, obviously, but hospitals are usually much more picky. So start with those. I promise you can find one. Let's see. Alicia says, I currently have 3,000 healthcare experience hours, just got my CNA and plan to that until applying in this. Is this competitive? I'm not really sure what that meant. Juan says, I want to apply in April. Good, right when it opens. Perfect. But my biochem class doesn't end until mid-May. Should I just wait till then? No. So some schools will say, we don't want any in-progress classes or whatever. If you're applying to those schools, fine, submit to them once the biochem is done. But man, I would just keep that biochem as like in progress on your CASPA and apply in April or early May. If there's schools that care, fine, apply in mid-May once that class is done and you have the transcript, but it still won't be verified. It'll take you another week or 2 weeks or even longer to get it verified. So now you're looking at June, at which case you're kind of like going on a little bit too late for some rolling programs. So no, I would submit it with that class in progress unless the schools specifically say you can't do that. And most schools are okay with it. So I would do that for the rolling admissions. For the not rolling admissions, apply later. It's fine. I'm getting my bachelor's GLUX. I'm getting my bachelor's in psychology with a minor in pre-health. Cool. Do you think that will look good? Yeah, it's fine as long as you got your prerequisites and you have a good GPA. Is scribing considered patient care or health care? The question of the century. Some schools consider it patient care, like my school did. Some schools say it's health care and it's not patient care. It's stupid. I honestly think that it should be because scribing is excellent experience, but not every school agrees. You're doing amazing, sweetie, another Aquarius. Hi, I have a... What the heck? Wait a minute. Hi, I have a mechanical aortic valve. How often do you come across people like me? I've seen one. I've seen one, literally. And it sounds very like machine-like. It's really interesting. Yeah, not common at all. I'm assuming if you're young, DeVito, I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming if you're young, did you have endocarditis or something? Or did you have like some sort of rheumatic disease when you were a kid? Or was it some sort of congenital abnormality? Like, why do you have a mechanical aortic valve? But anyway, that's just what I remember from school, why you might have one. Heli Patel. If I want to have a planned gap year and I'm a junior right now, do I apply my senior year spring? Why would you do a gap year then? Yeah, if you're a junior right now and you want to apply senior year, then let's say you apply, the April of your senior year, you might be starting the fall after your senior year is over. So that wouldn't give you a gap year. You would probably want to wait until the next year. But why would you want a gap year? Just go straight through. DeVito said 30, born with, there it is, congenital. I knew it. DeVito was born with a bicuspid aortic valve. Yes, you need 3 cusps on that bad boy, not 2. So your bicuspid was not working well. So they gave you a mechanical one so that your heart can actually work properly. Yeah, man, I called that one, huh? All right. Nicole, I have 5,000 PCE hours, CNA, medical assistant, and phlebotomy, but had low GPA. Any chance? What's the low GPA? What were the last 60 credits? Do you have all your prerequisites? If so, fine, possibly. If it's just low throughout, probably not. But it just depends. Let's see. Does it look bad if I apply? Wait, hold up. Hold on. Another Aquarius. Does it look bad to apply if I just started med school? I am so confused. To apply to what? Wait, hold up. You hold on a second. You just started med school and now you're applying to PA school? Is that right? If so, that's kind of interesting. But I don't know if it looks bad. Oh, here it is. Yeah, okay. I'm in med school and was thinking about PA. Med school and PA is so different, my dude. Not really. Like, you're still a practitioner, but like, you're already in med school and you want to drop out of med school, wait another year plus, depending on your application, to apply to PA school, and then wait more and then do 2 years. By the time you graduate PA, you're done with med school. So what are we trying to avoid here? Are we trying to avoid being a physician in general? Are we trying to avoid residency? Like, why? I don't know. Are you just kind of staring down the next 7 to 12 years and going like, man, I really don't want to spend that much time? But you're going to spend the next 1 to 3 years, depending on what's going on with you, even getting into PA school, and then 2 to 3 more years in PA school. So by the time all is said and done, you're done with med school and like deep into your residency. So like, personally, I don't think so at this point. What the heck's the point? But maybe you have some good reasons that I just didn't even think about, but I wouldn't. Okay, so another Aquarius, I think I'm kind of spooked right now. Is it the imposter syndrome thing? Like, man, the next few years, that's crazy. So, I mean, I just compared it kind of like apples to apples for you as far as like years go, because it's going to take a lot of years, getting into PA school and then through PA school and then all of that, and then like getting comfortable as a new PA. So it's pretty similar, and time's going to go on either way. Those years are going to be hard regardless, whether you drop out of med school now, wait a year or 2 when you finally can apply to PA school, get through PA school. That time is going to go on and it's going to be hard, versus being in med school where time is going to go on and it's going to be hard, but the same amount of time passes and you're going to be an MD. And then, a few years of residency, sure, but then I don't know. I unless you have some very, very good reason, I would stay in med school in other Aquarius. At this point, it just doesn't make really any sense. Okay. You know, I was thinking about debt and starting a family, hella imposter syndrome. Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, debt, it's a lot, but I mean, PA school debt is also not negligible. You can also do like NHSC and they'll pay for it. Like if you're already in med school, go apply for the NHSC scholarship. You'll have to work in like a certain, demographic or something for like 4 years, but they'll pay for everything. And also, depending on what specialty you get, you can pay down your debt. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Starting a family, I mean, the next few years are going to be hard if you're in PA school and trying to get into PA school and being poor. Like starting a family in that regard is going to be shitty too. And you can, if you start a family in med school, I don't know if you are male, female, if you have a partner or not, but odds are you're going to meet somebody in med school, or someone who's like med school adjacent. They're probably going to be a good person, solid person with like a good career. I don't know. Like, I don't think I would worry about it too much. Lots of people have kids in med school. Lots of people have kids right after med school. Lots of people, like, they finally graduate med school and, like, boom, now they're pregnant because they're celebrating. So, you know what I mean? Like, life will go on. Life will go on. Choices will be made. I just don't think it's worth dropping out of med school. You're already there. Just see it through. What do we got here? Another Aquarius. Okay. Says, do what's best for you and follow your heart. I was married with one kid in PT. Careful with following your heart. Your heart likes to do what's easy and what's avoiding what's scary. Follow your brain too. Talk to people you trust. Don't just follow your heart and be like, oh, my heart's saying I don't want to be. Careful. Okay, slow down. Slow your roll. Okay. What do we got here? Can I put pharmacy tech as patient care experience and let the school decide? Pharmacy tech could certainly be patient care experience. I've seen plenty of them. Maybe not for every school, but yeah, 100%. Okay, so Janaya has posted her question, I think like 9 times. I'm going to answer it because I keep seeing it pop up and then another one pops up after. So I'm 20, first year applicant, got on 3 wait lists, good, and denied later from 2. I'm on 1 more, cool. I mean, if you're on a wait list and you haven't sent a letter of intent, send a letter of intent. An email saying, thank you for the opportunity to be on the wait list. Just wanted to let you know I'm still very interested in this program. This is my top choice. And if I'm offered a spot off the wait list, I would immediately accept with no questions asked. That kind of a thing, they will like that. Okay? You can't send that to like 3 programs. Send that to only 1. But yeah. Advice on getting shadowing hours. Look at the video on my channel that's like 2 or 3 videos ago. I literally like went into detail on how to get shadowing hours. How many hours or years of PCE did you have? Less than 1,000. Not many at all. Because by the time I was done with postbac, I started scribing, and then I was in that year or the following year. So less than a year. Catherine. Okay, I think Catherine might be the last one. Nope, Catherine, then Sydney, and then that's it. Okay, Catherine. Hi. What are your best PA didactic year study overall, and what resources? Okay, Catherine, I definitely, maybe you weren't here earlier. So Rosh Review, supplemental question banks. All the way, Rosh Review, supplemental question banks. Those are my best for clinical year. Sorry, for didactic year, study tips overall. That's a hard one to answer because every class is so different. Don't be afraid to change your study methods even within the same class because like in clinical medicine, which is like your biggest class, like some things are going to be anatomy heavy, so you're going to use whiteboard a lot. Some things are going to be memorization heavy, so you're going to be using like flow charts and paper. Some things are going to be just like rote memorization, lots of like medications, that kind of things, diseases, names of things. So that's going to be flashcards. You're going to use a lot of different methods in the same class, so don't be afraid to diversify. Get with the smartest people, get with the people who are organized, who look like they were like good at studying when they were like 2. Get with them, hold on to their coattails. They're the ones that are going to help you. Get into groups, teach each other. Don't hang out with people who are negative. If someone is like on a downward spiral, offer to help them, but don't come with them. Okay, it's so easy to fall behind. Just stay with the good people, have empathy, help the bad people when you have time, but like stay with the people that are killing it and ride their coattails. Hey, like help them in any way, shape, or form. Even if they don't need help, buy them pizza, massage their shoulders. I don't give a crap. Hang out with the people that are not struggling and that are killing it, and they will take you with them. Okay, and last but not least, Sydney, pharmacology exam in the morning, need some luck. didn't prepare much at all for it. Why didn't you prepare? Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not going to yell at you. But you have pharmacology in the morning. Okay. So if you have pharmacology in the morning and you did not stay up for, or you did not study, you're going to spend the rest of the night making acronyms. That is how I freaking passed pharmacology with, I think it's been enough years, I can say it honestly, the worst pharmacology professor on the face of the earth. The only way I passed pharmacology was acronyms. Acronyms, acronyms, acronyms. Acronyms of no more than 4 letters. Okay? So let's say there's 4 medications in a class, acronym, in order. So for instance, like, I still remember some of them for some reason. Like GART, what was it? Galenia, Arbaggio, something, and I can't remember at this point, but I remember some of the acronyms. But basically, you get the first letter of the medication that you have to learn, and then you put them in whatever order makes sense to you. Like you can remember the word or the little acronym that it makes, put them in that order, then memorize everything about them in that order. Okay? Memorize the, the common name and the brand name, the contraindications, the black box warnings, whatever it is you have to memorize about them. Get the acronym first, the acronym that's like kind of cute, kind of easy to remember. Get the acronym first, then start writing down things about each of those medications in the same order as the acronym, and practice doing that on paper about 1 billion times, and then practice doing it in your brain. And if you get scratch paper, the moment you're like set loose with your scratch paper, write down as many acronyms as you can possibly freaking remember, and then you're good. Then you have like a little reference sheet instead of trying to memorize them. So Ms. Sydney, who didn't study, Sydney PAS1, didn't study. Boo, I'm joking. You're spending the rest of the night with a cup of coffee and making as many acronyms as you can possibly make. All right, guys. Shameless plugs at the end. Personalstatementpros.com. Link is in the bio. Personalstatementpros.com. If you are still working on applying, you're applying next year, you have to get your stuff together, you need an application strategy, go to personalstatementpros.com, click downloads, and click the application strategy guide. Download that. It's like 12 pages. It goes into every single thing that you need for the application, from grades to hours to volunteering to letters of recommendation to prerequisites. Literally every single aspect of the application is covered in excruciating detail, but simple to understand. So every single thing you need to apply and how you should start thinking about strategizing to apply well. Okay, get the interview prep, or get the application strategy guide on downloads on our website. If you have interviews coming up or you're interviewing, get the interview prep guide on our website. And of course, book a session with myself, one of the other coaches, so we can guide you through this, or a mock interview so we can really prepare you for the interview. All right, personalstatementpros.com.